Right, well, that's just after 4 o'clock, so I think we'll get started. So I've popped the teacher handouts and takeaway documents on the EBC Digital Learning Community Teams page in the comments of this meeting if you wish to look at these at any point, possibly after the training, if there's anything you want to go back over. Now, I've popped this on the screen with two different codes because Mandy and I are both Microsoft Innovative Education experts, and we're both trying to train as many people as we possibly can. So these codes help us as trainers, and they also help you register training, which is good for your CPD. So if your birthday falls on, now we're by no means asking for any dates of birth, but if your birthday falls on an even date, so the 2nd, the 4th, etc., you can use the first code. And if your birthday falls on an odd date, you can use the second code that's on the screen, and that'll basically just register your training. It'll give you some points, and you can explore we call it the MEC, so the Microsoft Education Centre, and there's lots of really, really good courses in CPD that you can work through in your own time on there as well. Now, don't worry if you've not got a class Teams page set up for this either. This training, you can go back and do that at any point, but you can also reference there's a how to create a team takeaway, which is also in the comments in the professional learning channel. And if you need directed to this, just let me know and I'll sort that for you. But again, you can do a little bit of testing with this and just draft your own team and have a wee play about with it and explore when you need to. So this is assignments and feedback training in Microsoft Teams. So today, my name is Michaela Dixon. I teach Primary 1 at West Arcledens Primary School in Bishopbriggs, and I'm joined today by the lovely Mandy Davidson, who is a secondary colleague at Lenzie Academy. So I'm primary, Mandy's secondary, and we're going to give you some perspective from both sides, so no matter what setting you're in at the moment. Our contact info is on the screen, and a fun fact, Mandy and I have never met either. I've not met quite a few of the other Microsoft trainers, but we have been brought together through EBC's Digital Learning Community, which has been fantastic because we've achieved an awful lot in quite a short period of time, I feel, Mandy, which is really, really positive. So yeah, so one of the questions that if we were doing this training face-to-face after school, hopefully that won't be too long before we can do these kind of training events again, we would ask, how might digital assignments benefit student learning and streamline classroom organisation? So I know right now I have got a big pile of marking on my table, and yeah, it's going to take me some time to sift through that and then get the children to file it all away and mark it appropriately, etc., etc. And it's annoying me because it's sitting on my classroom desk, whereas how might having this digitalised help you with your classroom organisation? Now, the value of Microsoft Teams and the assignments feature in particular is that it facilitates collaboration between teachers and students. It allows educators to collaborate, converse and share with each other and their students. So if you've got more than one teacher, maybe you've got a job share partner, or if you've got another colleague who maybe comes in and takes over your team for whatever reason, they are able to share and they can access the assignments that the children are completing as well. So it also allows students, we call it a venue, to discuss an assignment contextually, and they can ask questions or explore learning questions you've posed in your team on your channels. It also centralises your assignments, and it says grading on here, very Americanised, but all your marking, we might say, in one location for you to track. And also, it keeps everything all in the one place, so your assignments and your marking, they're just split up into different sections, so things that you've assigned to pupils that you've not marked yet for the whole group or class, and it pops it into a marked section when you've sent them all back, which is great as well. So it also gives insight into student engagement. You can see who's engaging, who's not bothered to look at the assignment whatsoever, who's had a look but not bothered to complete any work, for whatever reason. I mean, that always can't be helped, and who has handed work into you. So you can track the engagement using assignments as well, and it provides a digital environment for prompt feedback loops, which again we'll show you very shortly. So you can have a think, you can comment in the comments box if you want to, but have a think about how often do you have to repeat assignment directions and due dates. Even if you're in your classroom and you're standing in front of all your pupils, how many times do you need to repeat yourself with instructions. How many times do you need to say, this is what I'm looking for, repeating that success criteria and repeating what they're learning as well. And what could be done to improve the ways you assign work and provide feedback to make the process easier, more efficient or more effective. So as you can see by the illustration on the screen, maybe making this digital might help you make the process easier, more efficient and more effective. So I'm going to pass over to Mandy, who is going to go over creating assignments.
I've got it. Right. Okay. So what you have to remember is that these slides actually came from, part of them are from Microsoft themselves, and part of them are from the earlier stage of training we did when, in fact, it was done by Alison Steele, who is a biology teacher at Lenzie. And so I will talk through them, but some of them may not be mine. So anyway, if we look at this is very much the Microsoft side where it says, let's say we're S2 science teachers and we teach several sections of biology. 2 of the sections will be ready for a quiz next week, and the last section will be ready for the quiz the following week. We want to assign a vocabulary worksheet. The point is, if you're like me, you may have a number of classes that are all doing the same thing, but they come at different days of the week, and so therefore what they're trying to do is at different times, and you need to be able to give it all out for them so that people have got it at the right time. Now, if we are creating a whole class assignment, then it is very much that the assignment is inside your class team. So you go into your class team to create the assignment. And then after that, once you've got that assignment, you can in fact use it for other class teams. So it's not a case of you have to do it in one team and then you have to do it all over again in another team and so on. So it will be a case of you do it inside a team, but then you'll be able to use it. So if you can move on to the next slide. You'll see how it looks. So on this one, we have got the assignment has been set, and I will go in and show you how to do that a bit later, hopefully. The assignment has been set, and now what you're looking at is what the teacher sees when they open up the assignment, which is the list of all the pupils' names and what they have done with that assignment. So the ones that say viewed have opened up the assignment, they've had a look at it, but they haven't actually completed it and handed it in. The ones that say handed in have looked at it, they have worked on it, they have handed it in. You hope, although in fact you can hand in an assignment without actually doing anything on it, but I'll talk about that a bit later. The ones that say not handed in have not even opened it up. They've not looked at it. They have no idea what this assignment is. And you can tell that by looking at your whole class. So it's not a case of having to go into each individual pupil to see whether they've done it or not. You can look at the whole class. You can immediately see who has opened it, who hasn't opened it, who has viewed it, but not necessarily handed it in, and those people that have handed it in. And then you can focus on the ones that you want to look at, which cuts down the amount of looking at stuff that is irrelevant. Can we have the next slide?
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to go over how to do this just now, Mandy? Because I'm aware that a lot of this is from...
We may have gone over too. No, this is how it looks. So I think we're okay on this, and we'll go back if necessary. Okay. So if you look at this assignment, what has happened is, having made the assignment, you can go into the 3 dots of the top right-hand side of the assignment, and there is a place that says Student View. So if you click on that, you can see exactly what the students see. And this is what a student would see in terms of this maths task. They would have the instructions that you have given out. Then they would have any reference material that you've attached to it, which you can see there's a PDF there on circles. And then underneath it, there would be the work that you would want the pupil to do. And that has been a piece of work that has been attached to the assignment, as opposed to the pupil just attaching something themselves. So that has been added into the assignment. And this is what the pupil, when they open up the assignment, this is what they'd see. They'd see the instructions, they'd see the reference work, because it says reference materials, then they'd see the student work, and that's the bit that they would be working on. And if you look at the top right-hand corner, you'll see that there is the book and the speaker, which means Immersive Reader is in this, so you can click on it and Immersive Reader will read all the instructions out to the pupil, so they don't need to be able to read all those instructions to actually access them. The immersive reader can do that for you. I think the next page talks about immersive reader. Yes, it does. So if you click on immersive reader, then you would see that it gives you the options of actually making the work spaced out without any other distractions, and it can be read to you, or it can be that you choose to read it looking at this way. The bottom bit there, where there's a little arrow, that is the play button to get the immersive reader to read it. And next to it is the speaker bit, where that gives you the choice of whether you get a male voice or a female voice and how fast it goes, which is anything from a hare to a tortoise, and you have to work out what suits you best. So any pupil can use that and be able to access it in immersive reader. If they want to read it themselves, then the options at the top of that page are options where you only look at a line at a time or 2 lines at a time, and like that. Absolutely, is what I've talked about earlier. So this way they can read it themselves, but they're only looking at a line at a time rather than all of the information. If they are somebody where English isn't their first language, they can in fact go into the translate bit and they can choose the language, and then it will translate it into the language that they're more familiar with and give the instructions out that way. So in fact, there's plenty of ways for pupils to be able to access the assignment without you needing to personally tell them what it is, because they can access all of this through immersive reader. Okay, we'll see if we get the next page or whether we've got to go back a bit. Right, I think we should be okay, because basically in the create assignment bit, once you have clicked the create assignment, then these options come up. So I think if we just carry on with these options rather than going backwards, we should be okay. So what they're suggesting that you do in your assignment is that you upload files as resources, set a due date. You have to set a due date. It doesn't matter whether you don't want it to have a closing date, you still have to choose a due date. And I know from having done these assignments for many years that some pupils will only look at something when it's close to the due date, and other pupils will look at it as soon as it's set, and then they'll get stressed out if they overcome the due date. And I know that every pupil is different. So it's a matter of letting your pupils know that the due date is something that Microsoft makes you do when you set the assignment up. But as long as you allow for a late turn-in, then at any point they can hand their work in. It's if you don't have the late turn-in and it closes, then they can't hand anything in after that. And it all depends on why you're setting up the assignment in the first place, as whether you want a close date or not. And most of my assignments, I never have a close date. Some people have been turning things in 3 or 4 months overdue, but it's okay because they're sending it in, and that's what I'm looking for. But those are all the options that you can do. In terms of the number of points, I'll talk about that afterwards, and the assigning, I'm going to talk about that afterwards, because hopefully when Michaela goes on to the next page, that will give us more information. So if you already have multiple teams, you can send it out to all the teams at the same time. And if once you've created an assignment, you can reuse it, and you can reuse the resources. So it isn't a case of continually repeating it, even if you've got multiple classes. So can you turn to the next slide? Right, okay, I think they're going to give us to see how this works. So hopefully this will work for us. So if you've got a few students in your biology class who are ahead of the game and they need an additional challenge, then you can give them a piece of work that is just for those few pupils. And additionally, you can use rubrics when you're grading it, and I'll talk about those afterwards. And that would be a small group assignment. When I was dealing with people doing remote learning before lockdown, because I was shielding, I was locked down anyway, I was actually sending assignments out to individual pupils, which you can do with this now, which makes it a lot easier if you've got people that are working on different things. If you're trying to do differentiation, you do not have to send the assignment, the block assignment, out to everybody in the class every single time. You can decide who's getting these assignments. So we can go on to the next page. Right, so how it's set is that you go into, you set your assignment, and there is a place down on the page where it says all students. If you click on that all students, you can change it to the number of students that you want to put it in. So all of the students in the team come up in a list, and then you can either type in the individual name, or you can go and tick the names of the people that you want to assign it to. And once you've done that, that assignment will only go out to the people that you have assigned it to. So you can send it to an individual, you can send it to a small group. If you send it to the whole class, then everybody gets the announcement. But if you're only sending it to a few, then everybody doesn't get the announcement. They don't know that other people have been sent these assignments. Okay, it only announces for them that they've got an assignment.
What I'll do is I'll very briefly demo how to set up an assignment. So if you click into your team, so this is just one that's full of silly little things about intro to teams. So I'll very briefly show you. You come into your class team. This is just a demo team that's been set up, your general channels here. Now, if you click assignments here, that'll take you into all the assignments of every single class team you're in. So if you do happen to be in several different teams, any assignments that are set for those teams will appear in this section here. However, for example, if I wanted to set up an assignment and send it to just pupils in the demo team class, then I would come in and I would come to the general channel here. Then I'm looking at this top bar. Now, there's lots of useful things, especially that plus sign as well, which we'll go into in another training session where you can add different tabs and things. But if you come to here, you're looking for assignments, class notebook, files, assignments, and posts. And I think grades are always there when you set up a class team. So if you're looking to create an assignment for this particular team, whatever team you do enter, you would click the assignments tab here. And this is where the magic happens. So you've got your drafts. So if you start creating an assignment and you don't quite finish it and you walk away, it automatically saves a draft of it, which is brilliant, because it means if your computer runs out of battery or something comes up and you have to walk away from your computer and just leave it, if you've had enough for the night, you've been working too long, then you can just leave it in your drafts and finish it later on at another point. Now, you've got your draft section, you've got your assign section, so these are to example assignments that I've sent out, and then you've got your returned. Your return section is for your marking. So this is where you've marked every pupil's work in the assignments that you've set already, and once they've all been marked, it pops into the return section. So you know it's been filed away, it's in those folders, you don't have to touch it again unless you're looking through the work for evidence or something like that. But what we'll do is how to create an assignment. So you can change these and put them away so that it's looking very tidy. You close the drawers. But if you go to this create button here, you have three options. So you can create an assignment from existing. So if you're doing something, for example, something like daily learning, where you're sending an assignment or several assignments every single day, you can copy over something from an existing assignment. So maybe if you've got the same focus for the week, I know in a primary setting, I have a spelling rule, and that spelling rule is taught throughout the week. So I would maybe say we are learning to explore a certain sound, and I would copy that because I'm going to be exploring that sound every single day. We're going to be doing activities focusing on that particular sound every day. So I would maybe use an existing assignment just to change what I'm looking for them in their task. So on the first day, they might be doing some rainbow writing. On the second day, they might be doing something else. They're building the words with toys they've got at home or something like that. So I would use an existing assignment just to change the task each day, but just to remind them what the focus is for the week. You can also use the quiz option, which we will go into very shortly. But right now, we're going to just start with creating a basic assignment. So if we click assignment, we'll start afresh, and it'll give you all the different options. So you've got your title, so you need to name it something. This is required, so you have to give it a name, particularly what are you focusing on. So this could be a home learning, it could be a home learning diary. It could be you're outlining different tasks that you want them to complete throughout the week, so you're sending home a home learning diary. Now you'll see at the top here, it's just saved this automatically. So that means if I walked away from my computer now, or my computer ran out of battery, then that's saved into my drafts. So I'll click save for the moment, but it would save in your draft section here. So if I go back into that fresh assignment, here it is again, and it's saved the title. So you can give it a category, and you can sort your assignments by different tags. So usually I have tags like literacy, numeracy, you know, your extracurricular, health and well-being, all these kind of different things. And it means that later on, if you're looking for a particular piece of evidence, you can then filter these out, and you can go back and go, right, I'm looking for an example of a piece of literacy work that they've sent in, and you can go back and basically filter down the assignments until you find the one you're looking for. So you can tag different things. So if I want to send home a home learning diary, I might add another tab. I'll just do a weekly overview, and I'm going to tag it like that. Then there's the instructions. So this is the part where Mandy showed that comes up, and you can access Immersive Reader and it can be read to you. So these are the instructions of the assignment. So you'd maybe put your learning intention in here. So we are learning to, sorry, that's an infant brain, but your learning intention would be here. And then the instructions of what you're looking for underneath. So what I'm looking for, and then you could detail this underneath. You can format the text that's in this box as well. So if you want something to be bold, you can make it bold. You can use bullet points, which I find are very useful. You can add as many as you like. You can also add in hyperlinks in this section, but you can also add them in the add resources section as well. You can highlight text or change the colour of text. Usually go for yellow, but it doesn't look great because I've usually got my screen set to dark mode. But it does look much better when it's in light mode if you're highlighting text. So if I come back up here, highlight the text, I can make the text different colours as well. You can also number things, so change them from bullet points to numbers. You get the drift. You can do lots of different formatting things and include links in here as well by clicking on the link symbol and then just pasting your link in here and clicking that tick there, or you can just bin it by clicking the bin. So once you've got your instructions all sorted, you can add resources in. Now there's lots of different possibilities for this. So as Mandy's mentioned already, reading progress, this is something new. This is in beta mode at the moment, but you can add things in from other teams. You can upload files from your computer. So if you've got something on your device that you want them to complete or have a look at, you can upload things from your computer or device. You can give them a fresh new file, which I'll talk about in a minute as well. You can pop links in here. So again, for an example, you can maybe, if you're doing a phonics thing, you can maybe pop in a link from a video online that maybe reinforces that spelling rule or that sound. You can attach class notebook pages as well, and you can upload files from OneDrive, which is also really useful. So if we'll go to new file, and we've got Word document, and I'm going to say phonics template, just as an example. And I press attach. Now, at the moment, I've just attached a blank document. So when they open that, there's nothing going to be on it. But at the moment, it says students can't edit. So I've sent them a blank document, but they can't do anything with the blank document. So you need to really make sure if you are sending a blank file that you want them maybe to type on, that you go to the ellipsis, the 3 dots here, and you change it to students edit their own copy. So this then means that you've basically handed them a blank template, and now they can go into that by clicking the assignment, clicking on this Word document, and then they can edit directly within that assignment. Now, you can open this in Word or Word Online, you can download it, and you can open in Teams to show what is on this. So if I go to open in Teams, you'll see that basically this has opened a completely blank Word document, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so if I just click close there, you can also attach notebook pages. So I don't think I've actually got a class notebook set up. No, I've not in this demo team, but it says the class notebook's not been set up. So you can visit the tab to set this up. However, you can attach pages from class notebook into assignments, which is, again, absolutely brilliant. And if you fancy coming to the class notebook training, that is on Thursday with Mandy and I.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
we can talk the loss leader for Thursday. Yeah, come along and find out.
Yeah, that's it, and it's absolutely brilliant. So it would be really, really good to have the two linked together. They work hand in hand, so it's really, really useful. Again, if you're popping in a link, you can basically just paste your link into here and then give it a description. So again, if you were maybe attaching something like you wanted them to go into a website, a particular website or resource, and visit that, and then you can just enter a title for it. So if it was, say, a YouTube link, it would come up the YouTube link here, and then just give them maybe the title of what the video is called, just so they know what they're clicking on. And again, you can upload things from other teams as well. So if I go to cancel, And I'll come down here now. Mandy was talking about points earlier on. You can set points for assignments. So, I mean, it could be anything. But again, this is something I would maybe just check with other colleagues, because some teachers want to assign points and some teachers go, no, because it's not equitable, or it's not fair because there's some children who maybe can't access and all these kind of things. So it's just a wee something to think about. But again, sometimes it can be a motivator. So you could say, right, I'm going to give you 10 points if you can complete this assignment. And then they go, oh, there's 10 points on this, I really want to do it, and it can be a motivator as well. So it's just one of these things you need to go over. Now, oh goodness, I'm setting things to other people in other classes, sorry. So Mandy's going to talk about rubrics next, after I've just briefly showed you how to set up an assignment. So she'll talk a bit more about that, but this is where you would add a rubric if you choose to use one. So if you click there, you can either add a fresh rubric, or you can upload one that you've maybe already used before. So again, it says no rubrics available in this particular team, but Mandy will go through what they are in a minute or two. Now, this is the beauty of, you can assign this to more than one class. So if you click this symbol here, it lets you assign to multiple different classes in your teams. So, for example, if you were sending out a form or a survey and you wanted to send the same form or the same assignment for them to complete a form or complete a quiz, and you wanted to send it to multiple classes, this is where you could do that. So you're only creating one assignment, but you're sending it to several different classes, so you're not having to go in and copy and paste over and over and set up several different assignments. You can do it all in the one go, which is brilliant as well. And again, so you can, in here, now you've seen this on the screen in the last slide, but you can select either your whole class, so all students, or if you click this menu now, it's not coming up that I've got any students because I've not added any students into this particular team. So you can click one student, or you can click a small group of students. It's entirely up to you. But again, this is where you can differentiate your assignments, but just double check. There's not a group setting in here, so you would need to manually click whoever you wanted to send the assignment to. Okay, so you wouldn't be able to just say, all right, the circles group, I want to send it to them. You would need to make sure that you clicked every child's name in the circles group. Okay, now you've got your due date and your time due. Now this is really, really important, and its assignment will be posted immediately. So if you're maybe sitting, on a Friday or a Thursday or whenever it is you're planning maybe home learning, or if you're doing work later on in the evening, if you post this immediately, your pupils who this is assigned to will get a notification that they've received an assignment. So it's really important to go into edit for this and then put it for when you want them to get that notification. When do you want to send the work to them? So most of the time you're clicking schedule to assign in the future, because you're going to be planning this and you're not going to be sending it straight away. You're going to be planning beforehand and setting this up. So the post date is when you want it to appear. So usually, for saying's sake, this could be a Monday morning, so Monday 1st of March, and maybe you're sending it bang on 9 o'clock. So this is when they're going to receive that notification. Or if there's a lot of traffic on Teams, sometimes it can be delayed by a couple of minutes, but most of the time it will arrive bang on time. So it would be sent on this date at this time. This is when it will come up, it's due. So you might say, right, you've got a week to complete that. So I'm going to pop it on Friday. I'm going to say, right, 1500 hours, 3 o'clock. This is when I want it back. Okay, so this is when it's due. But they can still hand it in after that, should they wish to. This is when it's due, but it'll mark it. If they hand it in on Saturday or Sunday, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or as Mandy said earlier on, 4 months later, they can still hand it in. It'll just come up how late it was. So if they handed it in 2 days late, it'll say handed in 2 days late. If they hand it in 4 months late, it'll come up that, unless you click the close date button. If you click the close date button, it means after this date and this time, they won't be able to hand it in anymore. The assignment will still be there, but they'll only be able to read and access what the instructions were. They won't actually be able to upload any work and hand it back to the owners of the team, so the teaching staff that are within class teams. So if you do a close date, it stops them from doing that after this date and this time. Whereas if you keep that off, they can, as long as it's in their team and you've not deleted the assignment, it'll be here. They can hand it in or submit it at any time they please. But that close date, turning that on, stops them from handing it in after this date and this time. And then you would click done. So cancel would completely wipe all this away and it would just send it straight away. But if you click done, then it will say assignment is scheduled to be posted on the 1st of March with late hand-ins not allowed. Okay, so that would mean if you've got a close date, it means they're not allowed. We pop back on and we take the close date off and press done. And then it says on the 1st of March with late hand-ins allowed. So that means they can hand it in at any point, then it's not a problem. You can also change the notifications of where assignments are posted. So when I post an assignment, if I'm posting it only to my whole class, it'll pop up in the general channel, which is the only channel that I've got in this team at the moment, that there's been an assignment sent to everyone. If you differentiate and you only send it to a small group or a handful of pupils or an individual, a notification won't be sent on any channel in a team. It's hidden, because then it would come up that there were several different group assignments maybe being sent. So it's kind of for privacy, really. If it's not sent to the whole class, they won't see a notification. If it is sent to the whole class, it will pop up on whatever channel is set here, and then you can edit that and change it. So if you've got an assignments channel in here, you can change that to the assignments channel.
Can I just add one more thing about the closing date?
Yes.
If you want to put a closing date because you want a cut-off point when you are going to then print off all the evidence that you've got by that particular date, you can do that and then you can reopen it again. So that you don't have to give them another assignment. You can say that there's going to be a closing date on Friday afternoon. I will open it up again on Monday. And so that means that between Friday and Monday, they can't do anything on it. Yep. You can then print off what you've got on Friday afternoon. And then on Monday, it just opens again. And then they can add more to it if they want. So it's quite useful. It's not a case of once you've made a closing date, then you can't ever change that. Yeah. It is something that the teacher's got control of. So it gives you stopping points, a bit like at this point, I want you to hand in your jotter and then I'm going to give it back and then you can get on with the rest of it. Closing dates give you that option to do. Okay?
Yep. Brilliant. Thank you for that, Mandy. Thank you. So once you've sent an assignment, it'll pop up in your assigned section. Now, even if it's not went out to the pupils yet, it'll come up that it's scheduled to go out. If it has went to the pupils, it'll come up like this. So I've sent it to, it's saying 0 out of 0, but I've sent it to one pupil, or tried to send it to one pupil, and it said nobody's handed it in. Okay, so that kind of symbolises that, yep, this has been sent out and this is due to go out. So I had put this for the 1st of March and it's due on the 5th of March. So it's not went out yet, but it's ready to go. So unless I do anything with it, then it's going to go out on the 1st of March at 9 o'clock. Now, one of the things is sometimes we send assignments and everybody makes mistakes. It's inevitable and it can happen. So if you maybe send out an assignment that's for a small group, but you've maybe sent it to the whole class by accident, the best thing I would probably say is to then go in and delete the assignment, because I don't think it lets you edit. It doesn't, Maddie, I'm just double checking, it doesn't let you edit the pupils after it's been sent to them. You can't edit the pupils and change that. Just double checking, that's correct, Jay?
Yep. Yes.
Sorry.
Once you've sent it out, you've sent it out. There isn't anything you can do except delete it and then start again.
So you would have to then obviously come back into your assignment if it's been sent out. So, for example, if it looks like this, this is what it looks like when you've sent an assignment, and then you've got two sections here, the to return, so this is the bunch that you would have to mark, and it's saying, oh, all done, because it's not sent it to anyone. And then this is your return section, so this would be where the marked ones are, and this is the unmarked ones. So then if I go to, there's options up here, we can actually see different ones. You can hide student names, which is really useful. It means if you're doing anonymised marking and you're not wanting to know who the pupils are that they've handed things in. You can edit the assignment, even if after it's gone out, you can still edit it, so you can change the instructions and things. But I'll show you this student view. So here's an example here. So I've got the instructions here, and then I've got some bold writing and everything underneath. They're all part of the instructions part. So again, you can make things bold, there's no student work here, I've attached a rubric and there's no points assigned. And then again, there's that immersive reader icon which you can click. But if you send it to everyone and you've made a mistake and you were only meant to send it to a certain number of pupils, you would then need to come into edit assignment and then just delete it. So you would go to, you sure you want to delete it? Yes. And then it totally deletes it. And even if they've had a notification about it, the notification will still be there, but when they click it, they'll be able to go in, but they won't see anything that you've assigned to them. So don't worry, if you do make a mistake, which does happen, you can still go back and delete it as well. Again, if I've marked everyone's, this would then pop into this return section. And we've got our drafts. Now, Mandy, I'll pass back over to you and we'll go through, rubrics.
Right, so rubrics are basically ways in which you can give a classification on how good your answer is, which can then be given a points value, but it doesn't have to be. So this is one that Alison Steele did with her advanced higher biology group, I think it was, on making a cup of tea, where she basically set the rubric about what the cup of tea should look like, and then depending on how close their picture was of a cup of tea to the ideal one, she would just click the rubric. So if I just go on to the next page, what I'm going to do now that I've got control is I will see if I can share my screen to show you a rubric that I've made so that you can see it. So if I go into here, if I was to go into the health and social care standards, which I will do very, very quickly because I don't want you to necessarily look at the class. I want you to look at the rubrics. So if I go into the edit assignment, which will come up slowly. Right. I have got a rubric in it, I think. No, I've got to add one. So I'm going to do that. If I add the rubric, I will add the one that I generally do when I'm in remote learning, which is the working from home rubric. So if I look at that one, I've set this generally because it's about how much work they're doing themselves. And I have given it a number simply because that seemed to work quite well. So as you can see, the rubric describes the quality of the work against the success criteria. So I haven't put the success criteria there. They know what it is. But what I've done is I've done excellent. You've completed all the tasks. Good, you've completed all of the tasks and some are to a high standard. Fair is you've completed all the tasks. Poor is you have completed some of the tasks. Incomplete means that you've done a bit of the work. And then, of course, not attempted means that you haven't even attempted it. And so what can happen is when I am marking the work, I can then literally just click on that rubric and it will immediately give that mark to the person. And then if you want to write another comment on it, you can do. Now, I don't know if I can go in.
Sorry, you've lost your screen.
Yeah. Right, okay. I'd gone off the screen because what I was thinking is you'd want it on a screen that doesn't have work on it. So are you back on the screen, Mrs. Barry? I feel as though we're doing this stuff back day and night.
You're on your full Teams page
right.
with all the icons.
That's what I'm looking for because I'm going to look for the one that says trial. There we go. And I'll feel a bit more comfortable on that one because there isn't anybody in there. Right, so if you look at the what do you think so far of this so far, then we should have, yes, Mr. Bradley has handed in his work because Mr. Bradley was trying to work out how to use these assignments. So if I go into that assignment, I've got a rubric in there. And if I haven't, no, I haven't got a rubric in there. It's just typical. It's one that I've not put a rubric in. Right, so I'm just going to return that back to Mr. Bradley because that doesn't help us. I'll see if I can find a piece of work that's got a rubric because we were testing all the different assignments to see how it works. No, what I'm gonna do is I will create the assignment very quickly. Then instructions very, very quickly. And the rubric, which I already have, which is my working from home one. So I'm just going to add that one. Okay, and attach it. Then, if I assign that, then I'm looking at the fact that it's not been handed in. So that's the one that had the rubric. No, go back again. The faster you go, the more mistakes you make. There we go. It's not been handed in, so I'll go into Mrs. Barry's, and you can see the rubric comes up there. So I can say she's not done it, 0 points. I can put a comment of you need try this, and then I can change this later on the feedback loop. But in the meantime, I do done, and then this comes up on their assignment to say, this is the mark that I've given them. This is the rubric. These are the comments that I've given them. You can write other feedback if you wish, but the rubric gives you a chance to actually think about what it is that you're looking for from the assignment, and then you can get on with the assignment, knowing what the success criteria is, and the teacher can just click a thing to say whether they have achieved the criteria or not. I'm now trying to find the PowerPoint back.
That's all right, I'll share it.
You want to do it for me?
Yeah.
That would be great, because my computer has decided it's had enough with that. Right, okay. So, so I think we've covered all of the bits about the assignments and the group assignments and the individual assignments. So we probably are on the feedback cycle now. Listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. So you'll go.
So we know where to find the assignments. We know that it can appear on now it depends on the device that you're using, but it can either be at the left hand side of the screen, as you saw with mine earlier on, which I'll try and show you again just quickly just now, or there we go. So you can find your assignments. We know that they're either at the side. Now that will come up again, all of the assignments that and all of the teams that you're in as an owner, or in your general channel, it will pop up here with at the top here. Mandy, I can still see your screen. Hold on. Mrs. Barry, can you see a black or a white screen? Sorry.
I can see your black screen.
Perfect, that's fine. Sorry, just double checking. My computer is going awfully slow, my second device. Sorry about that. So, again, this is where your assignments are. Now, when we're talking about the feedback cycle, we are thinking about handing in, giving them feedback from what they've handed in, and how can they improve it. I mean, if they've got time, they can then go back and use the feedback that you've given them to improve their work, and then hand it in again. And again, that's the beauty of not having that close date put on. So if you keep the close date turned off, and it means they can hand in work late, it means that they've got, again, longer to complete different assignments. So if I just go to this one here, now there's different parts. Right, I'm going to actually just assign this just now. And this, again, if you add someone to the team, so Mandy, I'm going to add you to the team just now. There we go. Add. And I'm going to send you an assignment. Nice. Hopefully, no, it's added you as a teacher.
Yeah, I was going to say, you added me as a teacher. You've got to make sure it's a student.
That was awful silly of me. So I'll pop you in as a member. So it then changes you down there. So if I go back to my assignments. Sorry, there we go. So actually, I'll just send you this one, because I've changed you now. Oh, it's not letting me. It's great when that happens when you're training, isn't it? And it doesn't let you do something. So basically what happens is, when you've got your assignments sent, as we've talked about earlier on, there's two ways where you can see where the feedback is. There's the review pane, and there's directly in the student work. So if I go to discard, no, it's still not letting me. So if I come out here, I've got lots of different test teams. I'll see if I can add you as a student, Mandy. And so you can see what this looks like. Oh, so again, if you've not set up assignments before, welcome to Assignment Sheet. This is where you can create assignments, quizzes, manage timelines, etc., etc. So get started, and then this is what would come up. So if we go to create assignment, yeah, it's still not letting me add any pupils, Mandy. But basically, there's two different ways that you can give feedback. You can give it whole class, so you're basically just copy and pasting the same thing it would be into each one of their feedback boxes, or you can put individual feedback in each box and scroll through your students and have a look at that. So again, I'll come out and try this again. No, it's still not letting me have you as a student. So I'll come back to the slides and I'll talk about this just now. So again, we've looked at the two different ways earlier on, but we have some screenshots which will help. So again, I'll talk through these. Here we are. So this is one, if you are returning it to, here's a class one. Again, this is where it comes up, the status. So if you've returned it, if you've marked the work and you've sent feedback, it would be returned to the pupil. Now, you don't always have to, even if you've just acknowledging that they've completed something, it would just be sent back and it would be returned. And again, it would come up this green tick at the side to say that you have sent it back to them. The pupils' names come up here. And this is what I'm talking about with the whole class feedback. So you can look at all your pupils' names listed here and say, for example, they've completed something and you want to give them the same generic comment. You would click this bubble, put in your generic comment, and then you could just copy and paste that comment down the list. Okay, and you might not send that comment to maybe someone who hasn't completed the work. So you maybe leave it blank. I mean, it's totally up to you, again, in how you provide your feedback. But this is what I'm talking about with the individual work within the student's view. So once they submit something, this says no work attached here, but if they do submit maybe photo files or something like that, or a Word document, it would pop up here and you can view the work that they've pressed hand in for. So it tells you exactly when they've either viewed or handed in. So this one says viewed and there's been nothing attached, but if they've handed something in, it also gives that timestamp, so you know exactly when they completed that work and handed it in to you. And it says view history, so this again, when we're talking about that feedback, look, if they've handed it in several times and they've maybe used any feedback that you've kept in this box, it'll tell you all the different timestamps of when that has been done. This is the box where you would type your feedback. At the moment, it doesn't include things like URLs, it's only text and emojis, depending on the device that they have. They might come up, they might not. So you can put it here and then you click that return button to send it at that time. So if you're returning feedback, as soon as you click return, that's when it gets sent to the pupil and they will get a notification to say that you have sent feedback there. Whereas you can leave the feedback there, you can type it in, you can go through your list of pupils and then return them all at the same time. Or if it's maybe you're marking and it's quite late at night or something like that and it's not an appropriate time to send the feedback, you can then, it stores it directly within Teams and you can then maybe send it in the morning or a more appropriate time. So again, if you were to come back here, you would have, if you filled in this box, if you filled in feedback for your pupils whose names would come up here, this little box changes. It's really more like a speech bubble, and that would change to a blue colour to say that you've left some sort of text in this feedback box. And then if you wanted to do the whole class at the same time, you could click here, it would tick all of their names, or you could tick particular pupils and then press that return button. But again, as soon as you press return, that's when they're going to receive that feedback. They're going to get a notification to say your assignment has been returned to you. And then whether your feedback just comes up at the very bottom of the assignment. So they would need to go back in and click the assignment, the instructions and everything would come up again. But at the very bottom of the screen, it would have whatever you've typed in this feedback box. So again, it's just reiterating what I've just said, but when does a student receive their assignment back? As soon as you click return. So for example, this is what it looks like when you have added text. This is what I was talking about with that little blue text box. So fantastic effort, this is what I've said. And then I've sent it back, and you can see that I've added text here, and I've pressed the return button. So the pupils have actually received this feedback at the bottom of their assignment. And you can see here as well, there's none left to mark. They've all been returned, this particular group assignment. So it would come up here in the return section. So that's like your marked section. Okay, so we've got, how does a student revise their work and hand it in again? So again, you would need to make sure that close date is turned off. If you're wanting to do that over maybe a long course, or give them quite a long time to complete it so that they can have a feedback loop and use your feedback constructively to go back and improve their work. So how does a teacher know when the student has submitted a revision? And here are the answers. So again, in that review pane, say you've marked everybody's piece of work in an assignment, but you've left it open for a feedback loop. It would automatically go into the return section in Teams, and then when they've submitted something again, it would pop back into that assigned part. So you know that actually something is sitting there waiting to be marked again. And again, we were talking about the timestamp. It's been updated in the review pane where you can see that they've handed something in. So for example, I've returned it to them and they've submitted more work. So this was for a weekly assignment. So it's been handed in a couple of different times. You can view the history and it's got the timestamp there and all the different attachments. There's only a maximum of them at the moment of 10 files. Now that can be photos, it can be a mixture of photos and links, it can be a mixture of a class notebook page, some photos, some videos. They can hand up to 10 different files for their assignment.
Can I also say,
here,
though,
yes,
you can only have one class notebook page in an assignment.
That's right, yes.
Can't have more than one class notebook page. So you can't have a number of notebook pages you put in one assignment. Each class notebook has to be in a separate assignment. But you can have lots of other different types of formats, but only one class notebook.
Yes, thank you, Mandy. So as you can see here, just like Mandy said, there's only one class notebook page, but again, we've got a mixture of pictures. And this is something they had printed off themselves. Now, they could have completed it directly within OneNote, but they've chosen to type it out instead and then write the answers down. So again, it's just whatever their preference is at home. So now I'm very conscious of time, so we can fly through making the most of forms as assignments. And Mandy, I'm going to pass back over to you just now. Thank you. There we go.
Right, so hopefully I can do this in my trial team, which now exists. I'm going to close Mrs. Barry's assignment for the moment. Can you see my screen, anybody?
Yes.
You can. Right.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. It's taking time for it to come up. So if I create another assignment, so I'm creating another, sorry, pressed the wrong button when I wasn't looking. So if I create another assignment, but this time I'm going to do it as a quiz, you go into quiz, and then you've got a choice of starting a new quiz or using one you've already used. So I have lots and lots of quizzes. So I'm going to go with one from a while back, which was about looking at belief or knowledge. And I add that, and there's the quiz. It gets added into the assignment straight away. Now I can look at that and see whether it actually is the quiz that I want. So let's have a look. Yep, that's fine. It is the one that I'm wanting. So I'm going to close that up. I can then send that to Mrs. Barry and Mr. Bradley. And I've got 2 students that are getting that now. And I can put in the instructions, please. Open. And then I can check when I want it done. So I'm going to actually schedule that to be sorted out tomorrow at 9 o'clock. No, not at 8 o'clock, sorry, at 9 o'clock. And I want it in the afternoon, but we'll have it for midnight. They've got all day to do it. And I'm going to have it as a closed date because actually this is a bit of a quiz. I want to make sure that they've done it. And there it is. And then all I have to do then is schedule it, and it will go to those two people. Well, Mrs. Barry will know about it tomorrow, but Mr. Bradley will find that a real surprise. And that was very, very easy. However, if I go into quiz and instead of using one of the hundreds that I had before, I want a new one, then it comes up. There we go.
Oh, I can't see it, Mandy. Sorry,
right,
it's
I
still
was going to say,
unchanged.
it comes up just as an untitled quiz, and you complete it, the untitled quiz. I'll come back in the room. You complete the untitled quiz, and then it's there already. So you can use ones that have been done before, or you can create one for that particular class. The only thing to be aware of if you're creating new ones, is to make sure that you are actually creating a form and a quiz and not a form, because if you do a form, then obviously there's no marking scheme in that, and then you're actually doing it like it's a questionnaire, unless of course that's what you want to set as an assignment, in which case that's fine. Okay. So you want to carry on? Yep.
Yeah, so just adding on the back of what you said there about quizzes, was basically if you're setting in a close date for a quiz, it won't let them complete it after that date. But also, if you're scheduling that quiz for a certain time, so if Mandy scheduled that to go out tomorrow, so if you then go back into that quiz and try to have a go completing it, because I usually do that because sometimes I make silly errors and I mark something wrong that's right when I'm going through the different answers and things. If you go to do that, it'll say, oh, this quiz hasn't started yet. So you can also put a start date on your quizzes as well as an end date. And the other thing I was going to say was, when you attach a quiz in an assignment, so this is where it can sometimes be difficult to get your head around, but if you're doing a quiz as an assignment, what I was doing, for example, in literacy, I was sending out a literacy assignment and a maths assignment for something, and that literacy assignment I was maybe putting information about a spelling task and a reading task, and then something else, so I was attaching the quiz. But if your pupil then goes into their quiz and they complete the quiz right away, it'll automatically hand in the assignment. So the beauty is, as soon as they complete the quiz, it automatically presses that hand in button for them. However, if you've got instructions about maybe other tasks that you want them to complete, it won't actually allow you to upload any information. So if you're wanting to do a quiz, I would do it as a separate assignment altogether, and it means that self-marking is done for you and it'll automatically hand in for the pupils. And it also means, rather than attach the quiz as a link, if you're doing it within the assignment, it means that they can do it all within Teams and it's all in that one window, whereas if you're attaching it as a link, it might ask them to log in with their username, their Glow details, so it's just more convenient that way. But hey, we're just a couple of minutes over, but we're wrapping up. You'll be glad to know. But again, you can then, if we look back at that essential question at the beginning, you can see how digital assignments can benefit student learning and streamline that classroom organisation. It files it all away for you. There's so many different things you can do. You can attach quizzes, you can attach files that you've already got, you can send blank files, you can link it to Class Notebook. There's so much potential with assignments. It's just about having a good explore around and really finding out how it could work and benefit you. I mean, I'm in primary 1 at the moment, and the children absolutely are starting to learn Teams inside out. They know about their assignments and they know about the mute all button, which they find quite hilarious. But yeah, so if you can see how that can be organised. Now, again, try and use this. It's such a useful feature. So it's saying, think about an upcoming assignment you can create. If you want, I mean, make a trial team, have a mess about with it, just like Mandy and I have showed today, because it is really, really beneficial. And once you get your head around it and you're more comfortable with it, then you can then pass that on to your learners as well. So there's the takeaways and the handouts that I've attached in the comments of this meeting. So they are there for you to refer to if you need to, or hopefully this has been successfully recorded by the lovely Lisa Antani. So fingers crossed that works as well, and Lisa will pop that up when she can. And again, create a quiz, a form or a handout and distribute it to pupils, or if you've got a test team, distribute it to your colleagues and have a go doing that as well. Now, They are really helpful, but our next Teams training is on Thursday, and that's all about Class Notebook. And again, we talk about how Class Notebook can be linked to assignments as well, and it's an absolutely excellent feature. It's brilliant, so if you can attend that, it's well worth it. And again, if you've got any questions about Teams or assignments, please contact us, because we're happy to help you. We're here for you. So if you're not sure, thinking, I just don't understand what she was talking about, maybe I'll just give her a wee message, but we're happy to answer questions as well. Now again, like we said at the beginning, if your birthday falls on an even date, you can use this code to register, or if your birthday falls on an odd date in the month, by all means you can use this code to register. And again, it's that Microsoft Education Centre website. It's got loads and I mean hundreds of professional learning on there if you wanted to register and explore, but if you haven't already, it's a fantastic resource, and using those codes basically registers that you've completed this training, and it gives you points towards becoming a Microsoft Innovative Educator.
And if you've already got the MEC tile on your team, and that's how you've done it before, then that hyperlink that Michaela's done will take you to the same place. So you can use the tile, or you can use that hyperlink. It goes to the same place.
Okay. Yep. Thank you for that, Mandy, and thank you for everybody who did attend today. We do hope this has been useful, and hopefully you can start using assignments almost instantly with your learners. But again, thank you, because we know it's a very tiring Tuesday, so we appreciate you coming along and attending. So again, thanks very much.